Hi everyone, so today I'm taking the Polestar for the recall items to be done by my local Volvo. If you've been following this and you've seen some stuff online, you'll have noticed that the Polestar 2 has been subject to a couple of recall notices. The first one wasn't really that serious. It was annoying for the people that had the problems, but it was a fairly quick software update that dealt with, I believe, some battery issues. But then it was discovered that there was something actually a lot worse that needed to be dealt with, and that was to do with the inverters on the car. So that is a fairly serious thing. So they in this particular recall, they have to replace the high voltage coolant heater, prepare the car for over-the-air upgrades, and then also deal with the inverter issue, which on the cars, the people that had the problem, was quite serious. I think it basically just left you with a car that didn't work. And at worst case, if you were driving, just shut off and you have to pull over. So quite a serious thing, really. I'm dropping the car off at Volvo in Worthing, and they've given me a loan car, so let's go and check that out and see what that's like to drive. Okay, so dropping off was pretty easy actually. That was really nice. Nice Volvo dealership in Worthing. And they've given me an XC40 loan car. So many of the components in the XC40 almost look exactly the same. So take, for example, the steering wheel. This is pretty much identical. Similar buttons, slightly different feel though, so you can tell that something's not exactly the same there. But the design is pretty much the same. Same with the indicator and the wiper stalks on the sides. After driving an electric car for like the last 6 weeks, it's really strange getting back into a fuel car. And it's nice. This is an automatic diesel, and it certainly moves well, but it has this weird lag. Like, you get so used to that in an electric car that when you put your foot down, it just goes instantaneously. But like, if I put my foot down, it's like, okay, there we go. Like, it takes time to downshift and spool up. And I mean, not all cars are like that. Like, maybe this isn't the best automatic gearbox you can get, but it's just quite strange getting back into a fuel car, feeling that difference in the way it moves. But this is going to be an amazing car when the electric version comes out, because it's really comfortable. One thing I'd say, it's more comfortable on the road than the Polestar. It's less sporty, and it's got bigger. The tires are more forgiving on this car. So I think, yeah, certainly in terms of comfort, it's a really nice car. And when the full electric version comes out, it will be. I think that's going to be a really nice alternative to the Polestar for people who want a similar car, but something that's a bit higher up, a little bit more space off the ground. The instrument display is really nice. It's the same shape and layout that you get on the Polestar, although you've got a few different options for the way that it looks, which I think is really cool. Like, that's something that would be nice on the Polestar, to have more customization. But the actual screen on the Volvo isn't as good as the screen on the Polestar. It's more pixelated, and the actual display doesn't actually look quite as nice. The same thing with the center here. The Polestar, that tablet style display is really, really nice. This is a slightly smaller screen, similar layout though, but it's not as intuitive. There's no doubt about it. I mean, obviously everything's there, and you can see immediately some of the similarities between the Polestar and the Volvo. But the Polestar's integration is just, that's one step up in terms of design and usability. One thing that I'd forgotten was so nice about electric cars is how quickly they get warm. Like, I probably was driving this for nearly a good 5 to 7 minutes before actually some heat appeared inside the cabin. And that is just not the case on an electric car. You get they warm up straight away. Yeah, obviously it's at the expense of some of your battery and your power, but it's really nice to be able to get into an electric car and either preheat it at home or just get warm air almost straight away, rather than having to wait for it to get warmed up like in a traditional car with an engine like this one. Okay, so I've driven back from Volvo in Worthing, and covered 23 miles at took 44 minutes, so an average speed of 33 miles per hour. It was a mixed drive, so some motorway, dual carriageway, and some town driving. And it's come up with an average miles per gallon of 39. So that's, yeah, pretty standard from a modern efficient diesel. And that equates to about 12, 13 pence per mile. Now, if you're driving an electric car and you're able to charge on an eco tariff that's cheap at night, like mine at the moment is 9 pence, and getting 2.5 to 3 miles per kilowatt, that's 4 to 5 pence per mile, maybe better, maybe 3. So you can see it's a significant saving in terms of driving an electric car versus a diesel car like this. So, you know, if you're looking at leasing or paying monthly for a car, it's well worth considering how much money you're going to save on fuel. I mean, I think I'm saving probably 80 to 100 pounds per month, which I've just put that towards the cost of the car. So that's something worth considering. You could potentially spend more on your car and have something nicer to drive, and be spending the same amount of money every month. Okay, so yeah, I'm picking up my Polestar 2 now, and it was nice trying the XC40. Nice car, but not overly keen on the engine. Yeah, picked up the car, and they've dealt with everything. One issue I had was a weird clicking in the back of my seat, and that is something they said that they've temporarily fixed, but I'll have to come back in 2 weeks for the spare part that's being sent over from Sweden. So yeah, that's nice that they were able to do something about it, and they know exactly what the issue was there. One thing I'm not 100% sure of is I have seen a lot of people mention online that they have noticed that their charge screen is showing a recommended 90%, but mine still shows a recommended 80%. So I don't know what's going on there. Might have to look into that, see if I can figure out why that hasn't been done. I just hope they've done everything they're supposed to and they didn't miss something out. Okay, so we're going back to Volvo in Worthing, and after the recall was done, I decided to check with a few people on some of the Facebook groups and forums just to see what software version they were displaying in the Android system. Because I noticed, as I mentioned, that my display on the charging screen doesn't suggest 90%. And that made me think that was a little bit odd. And then, yeah, that was when I then noticed that my Android software hadn't been updated. So that's not to say that the software itself, from the recall perspective, the inverters and the other onboard computers haven't been done. They may have been. The Android display is just the infotainment. So I spoke to Polestar and Worthing, Volvo, and initially Polestar customer service seemed a bit confused. They didn't really understand what I was talking about, but I convinced them that it didn't seem right because, again, everybody that I've come across online, now this seems to be the problem, has different versions of the software. And some people who've had the recall done this week have had a change to the preconditioning options where you can now set a timer for the preconditioning. So that confirmed for me that my software definitely wasn't up to date. Yeah, so that I think was what convinced Polestar to decide, okay, yeah, let's have a look at this. So yeah, back to Volvo and Worthing, and hopefully they can get this sorted out while I wait. Okay, so I just spent the last, I guess 2 hours down here at Volvo in Worthing, and good news, they have correctly updated the Android software now. So yeah, that's really cool, and it was really interesting as part of the recall. If anyone's watching this that's going to take their car in for the recall, it's worth mentioning this when you drop the car off, because, and I don't know if this is true, but what they said is that it didn't update by default when they did the recall software update. So I'm guessing the way they explained it to me is that everything gets updated, and it's really down to the computer systems that they use that will say that the software update has been successful. But what they said that they didn't realize is that in the scope of what they did, that the updates to the Android and the infotainment system didn't do that by default. So there was no way for them to know that that was something they were supposed to do. Now, I'm not sure if that is going to be the case for everybody getting their recall done, but certainly if it is something you're having done, it's well worth mentioning at the time of dropping the car off, and even showing them, if you can, what the display should look like, because yeah, it's a new car, and they're learning too. And the thing is that this particular Volvo dealership down here in Worthing, their customer service has been so good. They are so friendly, polite, helpful, and they're very honest about the fact that they're learning how this process works, as well as Polestar learning from a customer service point of view, and customers too. So yeah, let's have a look at what's different on the display. Here, have a look at this. Let me just turn the camera around. So on the display now, you can see that this has changed to 90% is the Polestar recommended limit to preserve the lifespan of the battery. So they've changed that, and there's no longer a dotted line there. So that's the first obvious change. The other one is here in the preconditioning section under parking. You have the option to choose now, and then you also have the schedule. So you can add a timer. That feature wasn't there before. And that's really nice to see. Obviously, it's going to be even better when the app is available to be able to control that from the app, but this is a step in the right direction. So one more thing I've spotted that's changed, and I probably should go through the whole infotainment system at some point just to have a look at to see what else has changed. But in my initial overview of the car, the very first video I did, I mentioned that on the sound experience page, you can select the driver. And that from what I could tell, the sound and the image was set up for left-hand drive cars for Europe or North America. But it's now been fixed. So you can see the display now shows the seat on the right-hand side. So that's really good to see that that's been fixed. It's really nice to see that Polestar are starting to add new features to the car. And hopefully more of those will appear now that the car's ready for the over-the-air software updates. And also, yeah, the app cannot come soon enough, so I cannot wait for that. But yeah, it's been a good experience, and yeah, just that's my tip for anyone getting their recall done, is just have a chat with the Volvo dealership that you're working with, just to make sure they do that at the time to avoid you having to go back again. I hope this video is useful, and yeah, please subscribe and like, and I'll be back again with another one very soon. Thanks.